Today we don't have president, we don't have a vice president, so we can be more relaxed. It works, huh? And we finally made it, and I'm so excited. I'm sure so are you. Well, so are you well too. Good afternoon to you all. I'm very happy to welcome you all this afternoon to the Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation Observer Research Foundation, ORF, Taiwan-India Inaugural Dialogue. At the outset, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Professor Pant over there, and to the Observer Research Foundation for agreeing to partner with us. Professor Pant has been instrumental to forge partnership between our two organizations. I would also like to mention my colleague, Dr. Alan Yang and Dr. Sana Hashmi, over there and over there. All from my foundation, whose work and determination, without their work and determination, we would not have seen this partnership come into fruition. I'm particularly grateful to Deputy Foreign Minister Ambassador Tien Chung-Kwang over there, my good friend, but he didn't like to be called old, anything with old. So friend, dear friend, yeah. I told us that he's an old Indian hen. He said, yes, oh, no, I don't like old, yeah. Indian hen, yeah. And Ambassador Das over there, Deputy Secretary General of the National Security Council, and Szu-Chien, Dr. Xu, my former colleague at the Academia Sinica, but now he's in the government in the top floor, not in the top floor of the presidential hall, 5th floor, right? It's correct, right? For attending this inaugural dialogue. We are also happy to have Indian members of Parliament, Mr. Sujit Kumar, over there to join us today. I would also like to mention the contribution of Ambassador Bambaware over there, yes. One of the senior Indian delegates in building Taiwan-India ties when he was serving in the government. The importance we attach to our relations with India is apparent from the fact that we have clubbed the dialogue with the Yushan Forum yesterday. Our annual foreign policy forum, India is a key partner country for Taiwan, for both within the new southbound policy framework and wider Indo-Pacific policy. It is only fitting for me to share with you how we share this partnership with the ORF and why we are keen to expanding our research and institutional ties with India. In 2018, under the urges of the President Tsai's administration, TAEF was established and became the first Taiwan policy think tank to launch a holistic research program on Taiwan-India relations. As I mentioned yesterday afternoon, that TAEF has actually produced 2 volumes, 2 reports on Taiwan-India relations. And we hope maybe we can do annually, and we thanks to Ambassador Das for contributing a preface. And he said Taiwan-Indian relation has come to the high point ever than before. Last year in August, TAEF and ORF had a webinar on the prospects of the relations. The success of the webinar and the quality of the deliberations made us realize how important it is to have a platform to discuss this very important and set of relations further. Earlier this year, we seriously start thinking of how to further institutionalize ties with India, and what role could TAEF properly play? One of the outcomes that was our policy report on Taiwan-Indian relations that we added by Dr. Alan Yang and Dr. Sana Hashmi. That was released in February this year, as I mentioned. We have several contributors from OIF, including Professor Pant himself. We also plan to have publish the added research series on Taiwan-Indian relations annually. We decided to reach out to Professor Pant, and today's event is a testimony of TAEF and OIF being on the same page regarding the Taiwan-India tie. We entered a partnership for the coming 3 years, and an annual dialogue is one of the deliverable of the MOU signed in May 2022 this year. I'm happy to embark on this journey with a like-minded partner from India. Despite the importance of the relationship and the importance of India and Taiwan in the Indo-Pacific region, the relationship suffer from the problem of lack of enough serious scholarship and deliberations. The COVID-19 pandemic was also responsible for putting a halt to the exchange at the different level. Of course, we cannot sue the COVID-19 for that. So, through the dialogue platform, it is our hope to revive the convergences and so to contribute to the discourse on the relations meaningfully. Now, with the new southbound policy, India has emerged a pivotal partner country for Taiwan. Through the new southbound policy framework, Taiwan has expanded its scope of cooperation with India. There is no doubt that Taiwan's new southbound policy is complementary to India's Act East policy and its Indo-Pacific vision. Yesterday, I made a light saying, I say, India has an Act East. We have a New Southbound policy, more like an Act South. So we Act South and Act East, and we meet in Southeast Asia. Now that the New Southbound policy has completed 5 years and entered into a new phase, we aim to look at several niche areas where advanced level of joint collaborations can be explored within the framework of the New Southbound policy and the Act East policy. And we can create a meaningful synergy. For Taiwan, India is a fast emerging as one of the most important partners, both at the regional and global levels. I am aware that there are obstacles in the ways of Taiwan-India relations, as also pressing challenges in the Indo-Pacific. There is a need for us to understand each other better and understand where our interests overlap. I strongly believe that our two think tanks, this dialogue, could play the role of a catalyst for public discussion on the future of Taiwan-India relations. And I think this afternoon's dialogue will be a very important step, first step. I'm sure that we at TAEF and ORF will be able to provide a platform for major stakeholders to initiate a constructive conversations on Taiwan-India relations candidly and friendly. And I hope that in the coming years, with wider participation, the magnitude, the scope, and the impact of the dialogue will be expanded. I wish you all a successful dialogue and thought-provoking discussions this afternoon. Thank you very much. I just learned the word, Tang Yawa. Correct? Tang Yawa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hsiao. Next, we would like to invite Professor Harsh Pant, Vice President of Studies and Foreign Policy Department of Observer Research Foundation. He is also a professor of international relations at King's India Institute. Let's welcome Professor Pant to deliver his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, and it's very easy for me actually to just say to come after Chairman Hsiao and say that everything that he has said, I can support, and I can from Observer Research Foundation and from our behalf. But I think it took us a while to get here at this point, and it's important that to thank a lot of people. Is Chairman Hsiao, Alan, Sana, and my team, Trisha and Antara, who have we have worked hard on making this possible together, and it has been a wonderful journey so far. We have already, as Chairman Hsiao mentioned, we have already produced a lot. We have already started thinking a lot, and hopefully we will continue in this direction. And we are very fortunate that we were able to get the support of some very established senior members of Indian strategic community. Ambassador Bambavle and Admiral Lamba could join us for this visit. But we also, I would also like to mention that we also had another member who unfortunately could not participate in the deliberations, Palki Sharma from Indian media. She's still in her room trying to figure out what actually happened. But it's been between ORF and TAEF a journey which I think is culminating at this point. As Chairman Hsiao mentioned, we have signed a 3-year partnership agreement, an MOU. But hopefully it's a long-term partnership. It's a partnership between two people, two nations, two institutions that will allow us to think about and deliberate on matters which which are not only about bilateral relationship between India and Taiwan, but also about our assessments of what is happening in the region. It's a region that is increasingly, as was mentioned, a center for our thinking in terms of our foreign policy. Indian foreign policy today looks at Indo-Pacific as the key geography, and between India's Act East and Taiwan's southbound policy, we are at a position where we can think more creatively about regional and global challenges as well as bilateral partnership in terms of India and Taiwan. So thank you, TAEF, for making this possible for us to come over here and for very gracious hospitality. This half day that we spend here today, hopefully we generate new ideas which we can take back and come back with more options on the table in terms of ideas, in terms of policy options, as well as in terms of energizing a new group of scholars and young thinkers who can perhaps be part of this journey as we move forward, because both India and Taiwan have youth dividend in which we should exploit. As part of this journey, if we can generate that momentum, that would be something that would be of great value to us as institutions, as countries, as nations. So I think, thank you very much for all of you who came from different parts of Taiwan, from different parts of India to join this conversation. And hopefully we can move forward with new energies, new ideas, and new thinking as we take this conversation forward today and over the course of next few years as we look forward to hosting Taiwan scholars next year in India. So thank you so much, and I also wish you all the best for this wonderful opportunity that we all have had today to think very, very specifically and deeply about India-Taiwan relationships. So thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you, Professor Pant. Next, we would like to welcome Dr. Szu-Chien, Deputy Secretary General of the National Security Council of Republic of China, Taiwan, to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome Dr. Xu on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, namaste. Good afternoon. It is my great honor to join the TAEF-ORF Taiwan-India Inaugural Dialogue and welcome the delegation from India to this dialogue. I would also like to extend my great appreciation to the Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation for inviting me. It is a great pleasure to learn that TAEF and ORF are establishing a 3-year partnership. This dialogue, I believe, surely is an excellent way to celebrate that new partnership. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Samir Sarang and Professor Harsh Pant for inviting me to the previous Rosina dialogue. Although I was unable to attend due to other public obligation. As the pandemic is subsiding and the world is slowly getting back to normal, I wish and hope to visit India soon in the near future. India has emerged as an important partner for Taiwan and for the region, particularly after the initiation of President Tsai Ing-wen's administration's new southbound policy. I'm glad to note that Taiwan-India relationship has come a long way, and there is immense progress. How our two countries are viewing each other has also changed fastly. I hope interactions like this should bring such a change even more forward. We're also thankful to India for voicing concern regarding the militarization of the Taiwan Strait by People's Republic of China. We are particularly grateful to both the government and people of India for lending a voice to Taiwan when our international space has shrunk by a rather aggressive neighbor. The changing geopolitical situation poses challenges as well as new opportunities for India and Taiwan to collaborate. With the concept of Indo-Pacific, the linkage of geopolitics is quickly expanding, and at the same time, the time and the distant political time and distance for the impact is also quickly shrinking. Our new southbound policy against this backdrop, I believe, is entering a new phase of its existence, and India is a priority for us. In times to come, I hope our relationship become more formidable forces for good in Asia and the wider Indo-Pacific region. I myself used to be a scholar, as Dr. Hsiao mentioned, and I have also been chairing a think tank that was the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. So I fully understand the significance of a dialogue like this as a valuable window for opportunity for us and the government. We need the support and the from the strategic community and the civil society for establishing sustainable channels of communication with like-minded partners. It is crucial to convene dialogues like this and provide platforms where government and non-government stakeholders can talk freely. For exactly that reason, I will commit myself this afternoon to learning from you through at least the first session. I look forward to the discussion today and the deliverables that will be useful for us in the government as we move forward to boost our ties with India. I extend my best wishes to TAEF, ORF, all the speakers and participants of this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Xu. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Tien Chung-Kwang, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome Mr. Tien on stage.
First of all, allow me to take off my face mask. I've been smelling myself for the last 3 years. I'm a bit of title myself. Anyway, our chairman, Michael Hsiao of Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation, and Professor Pant, Vice President of Observer Research Foundation, Dr. Szu-Chien, Deputy Secretary General of the National Security Council, and the Honorable Gourangalal from the Indian Taipei Association. I would also like to recognize the Honorable Sujit Kumarji of the Rajya Sabha, the Upper House, and also the Ambassador Gautam Bambawali. He is the one, when I was in India, 2013, he was the one in charge of Taiwan. I have to say he has lended a helping hand for us to establish our office in Chennai. I appreciate that. And all the scholars, namaste. I would like to make a little bit of correction about Chairman Michael just mentioned that. He said that I don't want to be called old, but no. Actually, when I came in, he was very kind. He said, this is the old Indian hand. I said, I don't know about that, but I know I'm old. Anyway, it's a great honor and privilege to deliver the opening remarks on this auspicious occasion. And I would like to, on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to congratulate the Taiwan-Asian Exchange Foundation and ORF for embarking on the 3 years partnership and launching the first ever Taiwan-Indian Dialogue. And I wish to thank Chairman Hsiao, Vice President Pant, and Dr. Alan Yang to make this possible. As India's top think tank, the Observer Research Foundation has held Resina Dialogue annually since 2016, which has become the Indian flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics. More importantly, it provides a platform for India to express its view of the world. It is no coincidence that the dialogue started shortly after Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji took office, since a major tenet of his foreign policy is to enhance India's diplomatic influence and engagement in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. In addition, the influence of Resina Dialogue and the discussion revolving around it have proved think tanks are one of the most important actors in the country's foreign policy projection and decision-making process. In this context, we are very pleased to see the Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation and Observer Research Foundation working together to organize this high-level annual dialogue between our two countries. Following several years dominated by COVID-19 pandemic, it is a pleasure to be able to hold today's dialogue in person. Taiwan, like India, is a land of opportunities. This event provides a platform for experts and scholars to explore future areas of bilateral cooperation. In 2016, President Tsai Ing-wen launched Taiwan's new southbound policy. I think the new southbound policy being mentioned many, many times, but I think it's very important to mention one more time. India has long been one of the Taiwan's key partners, and together we are working to make this important partnership even stronger. I'm confident that Taiwan-India dialogue will open a new channel, rewrite a new chapter of communication, and further deepen ties between our two countries. While cooperating with India on the new southbound policy, Taiwan hopes to play a key role in Indian government initiatives, such as Making in India, Skill India, Digital India, and Smart City Mission, and the New India. I think I mentioned this a couple of times. Taiwan is a champion of hardware. India, on the other side, is the champion of software. So we have so much in common and so much complementary to each other. How we work together, I think that's a very, very important topic for us to discuss. And India is also very important to Taiwan from the policy standpoint, but it also holds a special significance for me, myself, because you probably know I served there for a number of years in India. Let me share a story. Probably some of you have heard it. Some of you probably never heard it. But India is a huge country, of course. Everybody knows it's a big elephant. So which part of the elephant you touched, you think India is just like that, okay, for the rest of the people. So I have to say I touched part of India when I first arrived there. Maybe the tail or the leg, I don't remember. But when the first year, people asked me, "Hey, Ambassador, what do you think of India?" I say, I don't know how to answer it, actually. I say, "Acha." I say, "Good." Okay, it's a very polite answer, "Acha." And I realized a couple of years later, when I touched more of India, I think, wow, India is a bit of different from what I first imagined. So people ask me, "What do you think about India?" I say, "Bahut acha." That means very good. The time when I'm about to leave, depart from India, people ask me. I'm kind of sad. I said, wow, I fell in love with India. This is the feeling I have India for 7.5 years. But I have to confess to each and every one of them. I haven't touched the whole thing of India. I look forward to the opportunity to touch it once again. And since returning to Taiwan in 2020, I've been working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to further strengthen the Indian-Taiwan relations. This has included finding new ways to appreciate each other's rich traditions and cultures. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for the first time, has sponsored Diwali celebration in Taiwan in the Taipei Guest House, which is specially reserved to entertain the leaders from other countries. So we had that celebration in Taipei Guest House. I think Honorable Das, you were there, and Hasha, I think you were there, Madam, and a lot of Indians actually were there, and I was told that through the live broadcasting there, about 500 million people watch that program. That's just beyond my imagination. And Taiwan and India share the value of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. It is to benefit both sides if we can jointly safeguard the peace, stability, and the rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific. And the Taiwan-Indian partnership has gone from strength to strength in recent years, but there is still much to do. The time is right for us to work jointly to take bilateral ties to the next level. Today, we are doing just that. This is inaugural opening. I think we are going to carry our relations beyond the 3 years we have signed. We're looking forward to another 3 years, more 3 years ahead. So in closing, I would like to share something, a quote from Charles Dickens, when he wrote The Tale of Two Cities, he says, it was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. Today, we are facing so many incidents and challenges. COVID-19, the war between Russia and Ukraine, and the supply chain changes, and the climate changes, and so many challenges in front of us. This is probably in the worst of times that one generation can face. However, through our working together, you see, today's we put this top think tank together. It's the best of times. The war between Russia and Ukraine is the worst of time, but it put the democracy against the totalitarian. It's a good get-together. And I think climate change also is worst, but people think about better ways how to combat, how to resolve the food shortage, energy shortages. I think new ideas have come up. So I'm very optimistic about the future of our path towards facing all these challenges. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank you, each and every one of you. And side note for that, our Foreign Minister Joseph Wu wanted me to say hello, and also he sent his best regard to the CNN reporter, and she is still in the room. I think Joseph just called her to send his best wishes. Once again, thank you very much. I wish you have a wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tien. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Gourangalal, Director General of the India-Taipei Association, to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome Mr. Das on stage.
Chairman. It's open, okay. Chairman Michael Hsiao, Professor Pant, Deputy Secretary General Xu, Deputy Foreign Minister Tien, all the distinguished members of the two delegations, good afternoon. I am so delighted to be invited today by the co-organizers to address this gathering. I remember, I think almost about a year back, when ORF and the TAEF had first organized a webinar, probably an exploratory webinar. I was happy to be present, and I could see the potential for this dialogue to take place. So I'm delighted once again to be here in the first physical dialogue and to see so many friends, old and new, in all senses of the term, here today. So I think it's only appropriate that the ORF and the TAEF have come together to organize this kind of a dialogue. ORF has, of course, emerged as India's probably the best think tank without any bias whatsoever. But I think the kind of depth that it brings in its research certainly is very impressive. And TAEF, on its part, has emerged as Taiwan's gateway to the new southbound policy countries. So it has a mandate to promote relations with countries covered by the new southbound policy. So I'm happy to see that the expertise and the convening power of two outstanding think tanks are mobilized as we seek to explore further potential and possibilities in India-Taiwan relations. So my compliments to the colleagues from both these organizations for their hard work and the dedication with which they have approached this. When we talk of India-Taiwan relationship, of course, every relation has its own set of challenges and complaints. Sometimes I also hear despair by very well-meaning people who want good for both of us, that the absence of any formal or institutional or political relations acts as a big hindrance to developing the full potential of the relationship. Be that as it may, I think what works for us is that both India and Taiwan have very strong and very vibrant and very capable civil society. So I think it's not always necessary for us to look to the governments to lead the way. I think we are all capable as civil societies to unleash the dynamism that the best of Taiwan, the best of India can offer. So I hope that in the coming years, that will definitely reflect itself in our dialogues, between the dialogues of ORF and the TAF and many more. I know that your dialogue is probably at this point only limited for a 3-year term, but I'm sure through deeper exchanges, through more meaningful dialogues, we will have enough reasons to continue this dialogue beyond this 3-year term. In our line of work in diplomacy, we have often adopted and mouthed a very common line, which is to say that in diplomacy, the business of diplomacy is business. So that's a line that we use sometimes for effect. But having served here for more than 2 years, I know that that is an unvarnished truth when it comes to our relations with Taiwan. I'm not trying to belittle the importance that diplomats do all over the world, but I think I'm also not using the word business in a very narrow sense. I'm trying to say that when we deal with Taiwan, we deal with it for very purposive objectives, to achieve something that is beneficial to our peoples, to our societies, to the public at large. So I think that is how we conduct ourselves with Taiwan, and I think that is the way to go. And I'm sure after this discussion, we will all come to realize that when it comes to practical aspects of cooperation, when it comes to practical delivery of services, I think probably no other relations could be as significant or consequential and as underdeveloped as those between India and Taiwan. So I hope that the expertise that is gathered here today will come out with more ideas for concrete cooperation and more fruitful recommendations for us to work to achieve those untapped potential. We have, our Prime Minister has given all of us, the diplomats serving overseas, a mandate for transforming India through 3 T's. It's called the 3 T's of trade, technology, and tourism. I think in each of these areas, Taiwan has lots of potential. Taiwan is, of course, one of the top trading economies in the world, but it's also, compared to the size of its GDP, I think it is very much a trading economy. But when it comes to trade with India, I think the best that Taiwan has to offer and the best that India has to offer, be it semiconductors from Taiwan or be it pharmaceuticals from India, have not really found a full reflection. So I think we need to still discover more of each other's industrial strengths and potential. When it comes to technology, of course, there is no need to tell anyone that in the last few years, Taiwan's importance as a source of technology has, if at all, grown and become known to all. So we would also like to see more of technology partnership growing. And when it comes to tourism, of course, not much has happened in the last 2 years, but the 17 million tourists that Taiwan sends every year for a population of 23 million, I think it's a huge number. And I think if we are able to get even a 5% of that, that could be very transformative for our tourism economy. So I think those are some the 3 T's for India. Will probably need a 4th T, which is Taiwan, to actually make it happen. So I hope that today's discussion will also look at all these possibilities of how we can fully tap the relations between India and Taiwan fully. So with these few initial words, I once again thank the organizers for taking this initiative, and I look forward to hearing at least part of the discussion today, but I know that at the end of this, I will also sit down with both the Chairman Hsiao and with Professor Pant at some time to see what we can learn and what we can absorb from the recommendations of their dialogue. Thank you so much once again, and have a good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das. Now, in 2020, TAEF signed an MOU with National Maritime Foundation and started to develop a partnership since then. And this year, TAEF signed an MOU with the ORF, which has brought us to where we are here today, which is the Inaugural Taiwan-India Dialogue. To celebrate these partnerships, Chairman Hsiao of TAEF would like to present a token of appreciation to our guest representatives, Professor Pant and Admiral Sunil Lambar. So first of all, please welcome Dr. Hsiao on stage. And also Professor Pant and Admiral Sunil Lambar. First of all, we would like to invite Admiral Sunil Lambar to accept the token of appreciation from Dr. Hsiao. Next, we would like to invite Professor Pant to accept the token of appreciation. Thank you. Dr. Hsiao, Professor Pant, and Admiral Sunil Lambar, please remain on stage. Now it's time for a photo call, and we would like to invite more guests to join us on stage for a group photo. Let us welcome Dr. Szu-Chien, Mr. Tien Chung-Kwang, Dr. Sana Hashmi on stage, and more guests. We would also like to invite Mr. Gourangalal, Ambassador Gautam Bambawali, the Honorable Sujit Kumar, Mr. Ajay Prakash Asani, Ms. Trisha Ray, Ms. Antara Gosal Singh, and Mr. Ajit Manocha to join us on stage. Dear guests, please remain on stage. Now we will have another group photo, which we would like to invite all of our distinguished guests on stage. 我们现在想要邀请今天所有与会的贵宾一起到台前来一张大合照。So please come on stage and join us in this group photo. 老师，我们一起上去，可以拍。Thank you very much, distinguished guests. Please be seated. Now, before we move into session 1 of the discussion, a gentle reminder here. This annual Taiwan-India Dialogue is in a closed-door format, and discussions during the dialogue cannot be reproduced in publications or other deliberations without TAEF and ORF's prior authorization.